Imagine transforming the dry, battle-worn plains of the Sahel into lush, multi-layered ecosystems that feed communities, fight desertification, and rebuild local economies. That's the ambition of Africa's Food Forest Mega Project, an audacious initiative scaling permaculture to continental proportions. How did this vision blossom into a movement, and can it truly redefine hunger, climate resilience, and community empowerment across nations? Let's dig in. The challenge of greening the Sahel began with the Great Green Wall, a monumental $36 to $49 billion initiative launched by the African Union in 2007 to restore 247 million acres of degraded land through a continuous belt of greenery across the continent. In its early years, the project relied heavily on mass tree planting campaigns, bold in scope but often limited in survival and sustainability. By the early 2000s and 20s, a grassroots transformation was underway. Nations turned toward farmer-led regeneration, harnessing age-old methods like pits and half-moon planting to channel scarce rainfall, rebuild soil fertility, and naturally germinate native tree species. A pioneering figure in this movement was Burkina Faso's Yakuba Sawadogo, whose implementation of enhanced pits, comprising small pits filled with compost and manure, helped regreen his land while increasing yields up to 500%. What began as a local experiment quickly mushroomed into widespread success. As farmers noticed trees emerging within their crops, soil-water tables began rising and landscapes transformed. By combining these farmer-led practices with traditional water harvesting techniques and natural tree resprouting, small-scale interventions began to outperform grand infrastructure projects. This evolution laid fertile ground for the next leap: food forests, densely planted, multi-species systems designed to rebuild ecosystems and feed families. Rather than planting single species in lines, food forests mimic wild woodlands, with tall fruit and nut trees forming a canopy, mid-level fruiting and nitrogen-fixing trees underneath, and shrubs, herbs, vines, and ground covers filling the understory. This structure is far more productive and resilient than single-crop fields. The dense layering captures shade, reduces evaporation, suppresses weeds, and enhances habitat diversity. Studies in the Sahel and across sub-Saharan Africa show agroforestry practices can double or even octuple crop yields, reduce soil erosion 5 to 10-fold, increase infiltration and moisture retention 2 to 3 times, and restore up to 81% of degraded soil. These systems channel rainfall into the ground, intercept stormwater, and stabilize landscapes with deep root systems and decaying biomass, which also cycles nutrients back into the soil. Once established, food forests demand minimal upkeep beyond occasional pruning or mulching, drastically lowering costs and labor for farmers navigating climate extremes. Unlike single-season monocultures, food forests produce multi-year yields from fruits, nuts, leafy greens, medicinal herbs, and fodder, delivering layered, diversified benefits that cushion families against drought, poor seasons, and market fluctuations. They are living systems built on ecological design rather than engineered fixes, capable of regenerating soil fertility, boosting biodiversity, and securing resilience in one living ecosystem. These shifts, from top-down belts of planted trees to farmer-led regeneration to food forests, mark Africa's journey toward a people-powered, nature-faithful restoration revolution that grows hope, food, and ecosystems together. In recent years, the food forest approach has shifted from scattered pilot plots to institutional-scale action. In Senegal and other Sahelian nations, NGO partnerships led by organizations such as Trees for the Future and Planet Wild, with backing from FAO and UN agencies, have helped establish thousands of quarter-acre food forests in villages, schools, and farms. These community plots are transforming both ecology and economy. Satellite imagery indicates that about 300,000 hectares of degraded land have been regenerated, delivering food, income, and hope to approximately 900,000 people previously trapped in food insecurity. At the same time, 34 countries have signed onto AFR 100, pledging to restore at least 100 million hectares by 2030. The initiative, backed by EU donor Germany with a dedicated €40 million fund administered by FAO, provides direct financial and technical support to rural producers and indigenous groups, along with governance support and innovation for agroforestry-based income. This continental-level support has turned food forests into a cohesive mega-project in the making, grounded in local reality but boosted by regional scale. These aren't merely tree plantings, they're carefully engineered ecosystems. Farmers combine half-moon swales, zai pits, and micro-catchments to capture seasonal rains, root water into replenish groundwater, and mulch soils for moisture retention. Nursery and permaculture workshops teach everything from seedling propagation to pruning, nursery management, pest control, and soil regeneration. In Senegal's 2023 national campaign, over 40,000 trees were planted alongside extensive farmer training and local partnership to instill long-term ownership and ability to manage food forests independently. This hands-on participatory model empowers farmers with ecosystem science and business skills, planting trees and planting agency. Growing nurseries and communal gardens strengthens resilience, creates green jobs, and keeps the momentum going year after year. Beyond food and jobs, food forests provide living infrastructure. Deep-rooted trees stabilize eroding soils, raising carbon content and rebuilding fertility. The multi-layered vegetation canopy draws down carbon. At the same time, habitat complexity supports pollinators, birds, and beneficial insects. One flagship example is the Terra Fund for AFR 100 initiative, which aims to restore 20,000 hectares and plant 14 million trees by 2028. Expected outcomes include 35,000 jobs and significant CO2 sequestration through regreening efforts fitted to the region's environmental and economic needs. The effort builds ecological continuity, connecting grassroots forest gardens to the broader Great Green Wall vision, while bridging rural livelihoods with global climate goals. Scaling food forests across the Sahel presents serious challenges beyond planting trees. One core obstacle is land rights and tenure insecurity, where the legacy of colonial-era land laws often clashes with traditional communal ownership. In many countries, farmers who nurture spontaneously regenerating trees lack formal rights, even to the land they rest on. As a result, despite policy shifts in nations like Niger providing long-term land leases to women's groups, much of the Sahel remains institutionalized under outdated laws that pit customary use against state authority. The ambiguous land authority leaves farmers hesitant to invest in trees that they might lose to reclassification or mismanagement. Water access is no less complex. Sahelian nations experience highly variable rainfall and limited groundwater storage, while competing needs from herders and upstream users, like pastoralists, intensify during dry seasons. Drought years, high grazing pressure, and fragile political contexts can quickly unravel food-forest gains. Studies warn that without local governance, structures empowered to negotiate access, efforts often founder on local resistance. Pastoral communities also voice concerns. Small-scale self-farming risks collapse unless farmers have systemic support, a warning echoed by NGOs emphasizing that food forests must be embedded in communal systems and governance, not just individual plots. In short, Scaling depends not only on biological success, but on embedding food forests into restructuring governance, legal security, and local infrastructure, and that's where many projects struggle. Despite these challenges, several large-scale agroforestry initiatives suggest hopeful blueprints for a permaculture infrastructure that can scale, even in complex contexts. In Kenya, the Shamba agroforestry system demonstrates both potential and caution. Covering some 160,000 hectares, Shamba integrates bananas, beans, yams, timber, beekeeping, food crops, and livestock on plantation edges. While the polyculture model offers diversity, resilience, and off-season income, its implementation has often been tainted by corruption and the spread of exotic monocultures like eucalyptus, which compete with native forests and water resources. Further south in Madagascar and Congo, projects like Nutricool and Tayap are weaving agroforestry with conservation, local soft tourism, and sustainable income. These ecosystems integrate native trees, medicinal plants, and market crops, but their success relies heavily on community governance and sustained ecotourism interest. In South Africa's Mpumalanga province, 200,000 hectares are being converted into bioprosperous landscapes where bamboo, nut trees, and food forest clusters reclaim coal-scarred terrain. Early benefits include job creation and integrated land restoration, but sustaining these gains depends on secure markets and long-term coordination. These pioneering systems show that scaling food forests requires more than planting trees. It demands rethinking governance, creating tenure certainty, ensuring technical support, and building resilient value chains. Across the continent, success stories are cropping up, but scaling them sustainably means balancing biology with sound institutions. This isn't just a conservation effort, it's a revolution in fragile lands. By combining broader Great Green Wall infrastructure with entangled local plots, Africa is building resilient ecosystems, lifting communities, punishing desertification, and sequestering carbon, all without relying on heavy fertilizers or export monocultures. It challenges assumptions about scale, proving that regeneration can be both bottom-up and continent-wide. Africa's food forest mega-project may not fit traditional mega-project molds. It's decentralized, culturally embedded, and rooted in community agency. But its ambition is undeniable: to map a new model of regeneration where food security, climate stability, and livelihoods grow together. If you're inspired by nature-based innovations that blend ecology with empowerment, like this video, click the notification button and subscribe, because we have more videos like this coming your way.